How to handle conflict like a leader, not a landmine. Most men either explode or completely shut down as soon as conflict hits. Both kill connection. Great marriages aren't conflict-free. They just have learned to fight right, turning tension into trust and teamwork. In today's episode of the King's Legacy podcast, I'm giving you the 5 steps to handling conflict like a leader, not a landmine. Step number 1, start soft, not sharp. 96% of conflicts end how they start. So if you lead with blame, if you lead with criticism or sarcasm, defensiveness follows every single time. So here's the shift. Open softer. Use curiosity for the first style. Curiosity style is help me understand what's really going on for you, or help me understand what's really bothering you. Ownership style is I can see my part in this. Clear and direct style is I feel emotion about situation. What I need is request. And I'll share an example of exactly what that looks like. So if your wife is frustrated because she feels like you don't help enough at home, instead of reacting to this, you could say, I hear that you feel like I haven't been stepping up, and I get that. What would actually make you and help you feel more supported? This immediately shifts the energy away from the fight into a solution mode. Step number 2 is stay on one issue. Fights escalate and can often escalate when everything from the past gets thrown out and dumped onto the table at once. Keep it focused. So make sure you don't say, you always do this, or see, it's just like last time. Do say, right now, what's really important is, I want you to remember and think about this, put this in your brain and really think about it. Conflict isn't a highlight reel of past failures. It's about solving one thing at a time. Step number 3, hear the emotion, not just the words. Women fight for connection, not control. And if you continue to argue on facts and what's actually happened, you'll miss what's actually going on. So if she's upset about you working late, she probably feels unimportant. If she gets mad that you forgot something, she probably feels unseen. So really practice this. Acknowledge the emotion before responding. Something like, I get it, I hear you, here's what we can do. This completely disarms defensiveness and shifts you into pure leadership. Step number 4, use repair attempts before it escalates. Fights don't end when someone wins. Fights end when connection is restored. And small repair attempts diffuse tension fast. Getting used to using the words and phrases like we're on the same team. I don't want to fight, I want to fix this with you, not for you. A simple touch or like a big deep breath or even something silly can completely shift the energy in an instant. And a personal example of this is in our house, we use a simple high five and say Jackson 5. We've got 3 kids and our last name is Jackson. It's really simple, right? But it works because it disrupts the pattern and reminds us that we're both in this together. Step number 5, take a 20-minute timeout if needed. If your heart rate is over 100 BPM, your brain can't think logically. So you could say something, I want to solve this, but I need 20 minutes to clear my head. And I want you to get outside, I want you to breathe, a couple of big deep breaths in there, I want you to move, don't just sit there and stew on it. And then come back calm and ready to reconnect. I worked with a guy last year who really struggled hard on this. He had a deep belief that he always had to be right and always had to win the fight. He grew up with a twin brother, so that's how he learned to handle conflict. We got him to apply this framework to actually disrupt his pattern. And whenever it seemed like another round was brewing, he'd step outside, take a couple of big deep breaths and actually reset himself. And that one shift, that one change has changed so much for him because he's no longer feeding the conflict. He's no longer feeding the cycle. He was leading through it. Now, I just want you to stop and think about this for a minute. Arguments require at least 2 people, right? So imagine if from now on, from this moment onwards, you were never one of them. Always remember to end with connection, not a scoreboard. A win isn't who was right. A win isn't who had the best scoreboard. A win isn't who made the best argument. A win is actually leaving the fight more connected than when you started. Acknowledge what she felt, take ownership where needed, and use small gestures, touch, eye contact, and silly things like use your actual humor to restore safety and trust. Successful couples don't fight to win, they fight to fix. So next time conflict hits, will you lead through it or let it lead you? Thanks for joining me on today's episode. If this episode hit home for you, make sure you find me on Instagram at RichJamesJackson and DM me the word lead if you're ready to step up in your marriage. Until next time.